Welcome to another Nature's Glory Cabin Off-Road Edition. Today we're doing Trail 2, the last trail of the YouTube follower ride. I didn't include a map with this one because it's just a short, just the action type video. So we're going to show here in a second where we're going to start off. This is at the beginning of Mountain Springs, and the first area that we're going to go through, we usually take the bypass to the right here. The weather's been so dry lately that we're able to actually go through the mud holes that were usually over your hood or up to the top of your hood. So we're not going to take any bypasses today because things have been dry. So we're going to stay to the left here. Off to the right, you might be able to see the old the bypass, and these look pretty exciting actually. So we're going to go through here. Remember, I'm on 33s. The Jeep ahead of me is on 35s, and I believe it's a JL behind me. He's on 37s. A pair of 2 doors in front and the 4-door JL behind me. You can see we go through here. There's several mud holes till we get to the end. I get a little hung up for a second or two. I just didn't hit it quite hard enough. A couple of backups and pull-ups, and I get right through it. And here in a minute I'll switch to the rear camera, and you can see the guy in the rear coming through. He's thinking I need help, and it just took me a second. I just had to hit it a little harder. Again, this is somewhere at the beginning of Mountain Springs. Don't worry, we have a lot more excitement coming on. So we're going through here. This is the rear camera. You can see this drop off that I drop off on the beginning, and you can see how deep it is here. That water is usually level to the top of that hole. And there's the bypass to the left. And you can see it throwing a little mud, a little vibration on the rear tire there on the carrier. And one more time should get us through it, back up a little further and hit it a little harder. Wasn't that big a deal really, I just didn't hit it hard enough. And here comes the JL. I didn't get any closer than this, but he comes right on through it. Again, he's on 37s, and he's a Rubicon with lockers front and rear. You don't have to use them. You could probably make it through it without them, but there ain't nothing wrong with turning them on and using them if you got them. So we're going to head on down the trail here. It takes about 2 hours to get through this. If you don't, well, excuse me, if problems, about 2 hours. No problems, you should get through it in an hour. That's about what most of these take. And I'm going to cut some out here, and we're going to go on to the next real obstacle. There's mud holes all throughout this, and none of them are terribly deep or very hard to get through. You can see the drop off there where I came off of that one. You'll see him come into it, and that's a fairly deep drop off there. Again, it's been dry. These are usually deeper. And here we go. There's another bypass to the right here. We're going to not take the bypass and go straight up it. Up at the end of it up here is usually a pretty steep, it's all mud, climb. And if it's really muddy, it's pretty slick to get up it. I might have to take 2 bites at this. I don't remember. We'll see when we get here. Yeah, you'll see a little mud flying by. And here it is, looks from the front and from the left side. And it takes me a couple of bites to get up it. There it throws the mud. Actually, I got up the first time, but you saw it throwing the mud, and you'll see it here in the rear view where it throws the mud back. Here comes the mud. Should be about now. There it was. There it comes. And here comes the trailer. And we're sitting here waiting on him to come up the hill. I went back and took a little video. I believe I made a short out of this part where he came up this hill to promote this some time ago. Again, this was June 17th, 2023. Just an impromptu ride for this fella. He's the one that caught up with us and recognized me, and the other guy we already had planned. We had just come from Pumpkin Hollow. I think all day it took us about 3 hours for our ride. And we're getting into a little more mud going down the hill. The camera doesn't do this justice. The rear camera might give you a little better idea. Again, there's slick spots everywhere through here, and this is dry days. There's a little rock shelf we're going to climb up here. Not many of those here. And here that is from the rear view. You can see some ruts, and in a few places you can see where my rear skid plate has touched. There's that rock we just came over. And we're going on through. I slid off to the left on that one where it hit it and pulled me over. And now we're going down more mud. Funny how the video doesn't really show it that much. And we're going to see the rear here, that little drop off, I believe. And we're just moving along. You can watch the hood, you can see how rough the terrain is. The camera's kind of flatten it out and make it look like it's not vibrating or not off camber much, but it is. This little spot here, there's a bypass to the left, and you go straight down through here, and there's another little bypass off to the left. I'm going to take the bypass. There's split rocks here in front of this that people with 35 or bigger inch tires usually can make it without bottoming out. I wasn't ready to take the chance today. So I'm going to go around it here, and we're going to go back and get a little video of the JL again. Right there to the right you can see the mud hole, that's the bypass to the left. On the right here from the rear. I believe he's going to go down and split the rocks. He was already through it pretty much before I could get back there with the camcorder to get any better video. But you can see them right there where they're split. He's going to go right over it. He won't have any trouble at all on the 37s. And Jamie's going to spot him. That's Chris in the silver one. And me, Mark, in the gunmetal blue. He got here in a situation where he had his attitude, his nose down, and I thought he was running out of gas. And once we got him on the level, he realized that it wasn't. He just popped down those rocks and get out of the way so he can come on down. And I cut a little bit out there where we just stood around. And we're getting ready to take on off. It's going to start getting interesting real fast here, if it wasn't interesting enough for you already. So Jamie decided he wanted to go in a mud hole, and he got stuck. Look at the mud fly. I think I made a short of this before as well. This took us a little while. He's stuck good. Hit it a little bit harder, he might not have as much trouble, but what happens sometimes when you roll into these, you don't know what to expect. Definitely would not do this one alone. If you're well equipped, you can still have problems and break things. This is the full length, but I sped it up compared to the short that I had posted before. And he's in there. If you notice, he's digging down even more. So it's winch time. I'm going to run the winch. We're going to get everybody involved here. Jamie climbing out, and we're going to hook him up to the winch and pull from his winch points on the rear bumper. Got more winches coming up. This isn't the only one. This is the easiest one though. So I sped this up quite a bit. He's going to pull it out, and Chris got his muck boots on and hooked to that rear bumper. Get back in here and switch everything, get it ready to pull. Get the remote out, get it started, it's ready to go. If you'll notice here when I pull him back, he's kind of got it stuck in a spot, and it's going to take it a minute to break free. Then once that happens, it pops right on out. Okay, here we go. There, see, it's hung a little bit right there. Now, it popped right on out. Alright, so we got everything loose. I'm going to get out and put everything up. I'm going to pull him a little bit more to make sure he's out of that hole good. Cut a bunch out there where we finish wrapping it up. And we're going to take off. Now we're moving on down through. Here's Old Homestead in the middle of the trail. I think I put the rear camera on this just so you can get a different angle on it. This is mountain springs, also known as pilot furnace. Occasionally you'll see it called that. And there's the house again, about to fall down, and Chris coming up behind me. A lot of this is relatively smooth. That are like most trails, but they all have their spots. This is going down the hill where it's really muddy. You can notice that it's rutted out on both sides, and you'll see where other people have drug, and I'm going to drag. But gravity's your friend here. And this is actually about, the sides of this are about halfway, 2/3 up the Jeep on the top. So we're going to keep motoring on down here. I think I'm going to switch to the rear camera here in a second so you can see Chris coming down the hill. And it's still pretty rutted. We got a little ways to go on this. We'll switch to the rear view here in a minute so you can see what that looks like from behind. And here we go. Now you can see how deep them ruts are a little more from the rear. You can see where you've been dragging your differentials and skid plates and all that stuff on that mud. Chris has more ground clearance than the rest of us, so he pretty well gets down it a little easier. We switched off now. Now we're getting ready to do the big obstacle on Mountain Springs, I believe. And I'm on it, and I'm stuck on it. I didn't get a chance to get Jamie on it because he'd already got up it pretty easily. I usually went up this left side before. Today it got me. I've been up this, this is my 4th time, and I made it up every time, but this one's going to take a while. It's rutted out more, and rocks are more exposed. You'll see them in a minute when we get here. I'm trying to get back. The problem is the ruts are too much, and didn't have any people spotting me, and by the time I did, I was already in trouble. So luckily they have friends, and we were able to get out of this. I got between mud going up and my gas tank skid plate got caught up on a rock, so I wasn't going nowhere. So we had a couple of different pulls. This is me pulling to Jamie's back bumper to get lined back up. See that big rock in front of me there? And you'll see it as we go by. See how much exposed it is? That was only about 6 inches out of the ground a year ago. So now we're going to have to rearrange and pull me up the side. They got me hooked up to the tree, and I'm winching right up this side and getting right up. Don't forget to keep an eye on those rocks there. You can see how exposed they are. I've got locker on the front and limited slip on the rear, and we're going to get another pull at it. And once I get over this rock, it pretty well frees me up. I had my axle tube caught on a rock here. A whole bunch of other folks have been up this hill. One of them had a break, so they happened to still be around, so they started helping us out and getting us out of the predicament. Jamie got right up, and again they're going to hook me up here to this tree, I think, now to pull me, keep me to the right. I don't think we had done that. I'm still hooked up to him, but it keeps pulling me left. Okay. Nope, I'm still pulling me off to the left. I'm going to hook up that tree right behind that guy in that orange shirt here in just a minute. And that keeps me at the right angle and lets me pull myself right on up. I cut out a lot of this stuff here. This took a while. This was the longest of the bunch. I got in there pretty good this time. Alright, now they got me hooked to the tree. I cut out most of that. You can see the line going up to the right here, and that keeps me pulled to the right. Tires are all loaded up, so I'm not getting much traction. These are KM3 mud tires, 12.5 by 33. Alright, see, I'm getting over that rock finally, and we're going to winch a little more here, and now they got me hooked to the back bumper and we're finishing it out. As long as I got far enough to the right, I was okay that time. These conditions can change, and they can change in a flash. Now I'm going to show what that looked like from the rear camera. Most of it, I cut some of it out, sped it up a little bit. This was the first spot where I got stuck on all that mud. You can see how deep that rear bumper is. That camera's on top of the rear bumper, sticking up, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches. I do finally get it cut to the other side, or up on the side there, and I got back a little bit. Getting ready to take another run at it. The trick apparently this time is I should have went across and not try to go straight up it. For me anyway. Again, this changes. It's changed almost every time I've been on it. This is my 4th time. The first time I went on it, I was able to go pretty well straight up it. The last time I went to one side or the other. And this time, I think maybe it's my 3rd time on this trail. So this time I got hung up. My rear skid plate's going to get popped here. I'd get out and survey the situation before you attempted this one. Even had a guy on 40s have to take 2 or 3 shots at it one time. Your intuition makes you want to go to the right and start that way, but you get pulled against the wall down there, and that doesn't tend to be the right direction. For most of us. I'm not saying it won't work for you. And here I'm finally, see that big rock behind me? That's what I was hung up on. See how far they are out of the ground? It's not like a mud rut, those things don't move. Now here's Chris coming up, and notice we got a spotter for him, and he's going to go across it. And again, I cut a little bit out there, so he takes a few tries to get up it as well. And he's on 37s with I don't know how big a lift, but a lift. Didn't have any other footage of this except in this vertical fashion. I hated to leave it out. And there he's going to make it. Once you get moving, you got to pretty well stay moving. And there's the folks that helped us. That's actually 3 TJs. One of them broke, and they were okay to get out. We were going to help them if they needed it. We're about done now. After this, it's pretty smooth sailing. I have a mud hole or 2 here and there. There's some ruts we're going to come up on that can be trying sometimes. The first time I dropped off into one and took a little dancing to get it out of there. And here we are at the end. Everybody enjoyed this. Like and subscribe if you enjoy my stuff, and thanks for watching.